Hello and welcome back to the VolReport YouTube channel. I'm Ryan Sylvia, joined by Noah Taylor. We're with VolReport.com on the Rivals Network. Excuse the background noise. It's some Lindsey Nelson Stadium construction going on. We usually record these inside, but there's some music being played, so we felt like this was kind of the best of all the options. But we do apologize if the audio's kind of rough in the background. We did talk to offensive line coach Glenn Ellerbe and then three offensive linemen, Cooper Mays, Dane Davis, and Jackson Lampley. So we'll start with Glenn Ellerbe. What were your thoughts on what he said?
Yeah, he was asked about John Campbell Jr. and moving over to the right side to kind of make way for Lance Hurd. I know that was, a big deal, a big addition for Tennessee out of the transfer portal, and how he would handle that, and said he's been flawless in that. And I think, obviously he's had some time to do it, going back to the spring and out here in fall camps. He's got a little experience of doing that. But also I think what helps is, and this was kind of a common theme that Ellerbe talked about, is having guys that are multiple. I know that's been a big deal. It certainly was last year with some injuries earlier in the year, but now you've got John Campbell Jr. who can play both sides. And a lot of the guys we talked to today are in similar ways. They can play guard, play center. But I thought that kind of stood out, because that was kind of like one of those position changes for Tennessee that was talked a lot about going into the spring. But it turns out that, according to Glenn Ellerbe, John Campbell Jr. hasn't skipped a beat there.
Yeah, Parker Ball was on the team last year. He was a reserve guard. Well, now he's still in the facility. He's just a graduate assistant, and we've seen him at all the open periods during practice, really hands-on with the linemen and really kind of taking force as a coach. It's not just, hey, I'm a graduate assistant, I'm going to kind of hang back. He seems to be really into it. So I asked Glenn Ellerbe about what Parker Ball brings to the table, and he seemed pretty excited to kind of talk about what Parker Ball means to this offensive line group. Said he's the smartest guy in the facility, and then a couple sentences later said he's the smartest guy to walk on the planet. So some high praise for him. Asked Dane Davis as well about Parker Ball, and he said the same thing, like that guy's super smart. And Glenn Ellerbe talked about how if he's ever in a meeting trying to coach things up and he makes a mistake, Parker Ball's right there to correct him. So kind of a big addition for Tennessee. We'll see what Parker Ball's career looks like, because from what Dane Davis and Glenn Ellerbe talked about, it sounds like he could have a very bright coaching future ahead of him. But going on those guys, the three guys we talked to, what did you think about what they said?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. We'll get more into these guys next week, because I know we're going to get to talk to Rodney Gardner and find out a little more about what that defensive line is doing. But obviously, like the offensive line, a veteran group, returning some guys with a lot of experience there. And it was kind of interesting to hear Cooper Mays and Dane Davis and Jackson Lampley talk today about going up against that defensive line and just kind of the depth that they've noticed there. Certainly a group that they said it has made them better. But it's kind of interesting to hear their perspective, because, we hear a lot about it. Obviously the James Harris Jr. hype, things like that, Omari Thomas, Omar Norman Lai, a lot of guys with experience coming back. It was kind of interesting to hear a veteran guy like Cooper Mays, talk about going up against those guys this year and how that's kind of made them better. I guess the coach speaks rubbing off on me with the iron sharpens iron thing. Two position groups for Tennessee that are expected to be really, really good, and obviously very senior laden or veteran laden. Kind of interesting to hear that perspective about them going up against each other.
Yeah, Cooper Mays also talked about you talked about the veteran on the line. Well, your quarterback now is a lot younger, so he was asked about your two quarterbacks under Heupel that you've played for and that you snapped for here, Hendon Hooker and Joe Milton. Those are two guys that were very experienced by the time that they were starting quarterbacks at Tennessee. Now you have a kid who's 19 years old, and he's a redshirt freshman. He has one start under his belt, and kind of the dynamics of Cooper Mays being an older guy and then having a younger quarterback he's snapping the ball to. But he was like, I've been thinking about it. But it's interesting because Nico doesn't feel like he's that young. Like, he feels like he's a very mature older guy, even though he's younger in age, and that he's not screaming and yelling as a leader, but he just kind of has that poise to him and that confidence around him that kind of rubs off on the rest of the team. And that he said you could see it in the Citrus Bowl when they went in. Like, we had a lot of confidence in him, and he kind of just showed up, and he wasn't super boisterous or anything. He just kind of went in there and got the job done. That's kind of his demeanor. Also, I thought was interesting, he said, I'm making the reads, I'm making the checks to start the play off, but if Nico sees anything, it's all him to call if he wants to change protections or anything like that. He trusts what Nico sees, Nico trusts what Cooper sees, so it's an interesting dynamic of an old center and then a younger quarterback, but it seems like it's combining to work really well. That'll do it all from us here today, though. We'll be not back here tomorrow. They have a day off, but on Wednesday, they'll be back here in the practice facility. We'll be back. Head over to VolReport.com for all of our content. We're sorry for the audio once again, just kind of the best we could get at the moment. A really busy time around Knoxville. So once again, apologies, but thank you for watching.